Hello y'all on YouTube, this is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today we have a very special review impressions of a knife that I've had for a little bit. Very much enjoyed, it's been a real pleasure. So yeah, let's talk about this. Alright, today we're going to look at the Eutsler Custom Knives Neutralizer. This is a special boy here, I'll tell you. I got this on BladeBinge when I binged, and it was a very cool special find, I will tell you that much. Looks like it's a little dust from being in the case. We're just going to wipe it down, get all the dust off. I got a little oil on the blade too. I do oil my knives, just so you know. And yeah, so this little beauty is something that's very hard to find. He doesn't make a whole bunch of neutralizers, but it is a very cool knife that a lot of people really want to seek after, and I was really fortunate enough to find this. And anytime I've shown this, a lot of people have always been very interested in it and want to buy it. I get it. It's a very cool knife. It's a very unique design. It's a very limited kind of design that he doesn't run very often. This is a beautiful one. It has the diamond milling. It's got this beautiful stone washed, acid washed, whatever you want to call this look. That's got, it's kind of, it looks like it's ready to be used or has been used, but it's not. It's just kind of this intentional design with the stone wash. I think is really cool. A little industrial with the jimping back there. It's very functional. I love that. All right, so the blade itself is Magnacut. Well, let's first talk about the knife name is the Neutralizer. The knife manufacturer is Eutsler Custom Knives. It's actually made by Cody Eutsler himself. He's the one who makes these knives. He's the designer, the maker. He's the guy who made the duckling, the duck, the Neutralizer, and he's got some other knives. But those are the three main things a lot of people talk about most recently. But they're all fantastic knives. He's a custom knife maker. His knives are not inexpensive, and depending on what they are, what they have, they're more expensive than others. I will say the duck is probably more desired by a lot of people because he hasn't made those in a while. The duckling, depending on what is on the duckling, can be more expensive, right? If it's just a plain duckling, then it may be cheaper, but if it has Timascus and some other things, it can be more expensive. If it has a special milling, it can be more special. So this one here has a unique pivot collar that's really unique. I think it's nice. It's got a full pocket carry clip. You can see the EK for Eutsler knives. You have the beautiful, wonderful dimples or diamond, whatever you want to call it. I think it's beautiful as well. It's beautiful. I want to call this we can call it a reverse Tonto, a Wharncliffe, technically maybe modified Wharncliffe. I don't know. You tell me what you want. I think anything is fine as far as when it comes to that. It's just a matter of what you want to call it. Do I have it dusted? No, that's on the screen. Sorry. I thought I had something on the table. So Magnacut, beautifully done. Nice swedge on top, nice fuller right there. There is no weight relief on the scales, but they're relatively thin, so they don't feel very heavy, right? The center of the knife, the balance is still right there, so you feel pretty balanced when you're here. Nice and rounded, no hot spots, even with this wonderful, back here, it's pretty rounded. It's really nicely chamfered. Every corner's rounded or chamfered really, really, really well. Even back here where there's corners, you're not hitting anything. There's no sharp edges anywhere. I love that. You can still kind of choke up on this. It's sort of a trigger choke up. It's small enough that you could put it up there. You just got to be careful. But I mean, right here, I've got large hands with big meaty fingers. Definitely extra room back here for extra large, maybe double extra large if you choke up, even more, right? This beautiful inset over travel stop, inset steel bar. It engages the tang of the blade, so it's beautiful in and out. The action is fantastic. Now, it came with Delring bearings. I put Skiffs in there. I have found Skiffs just to be a little bit smoother, just a little bit nicer, I think, right? And so, that's a matter of perspective, how you feel about that. So, I think Skiffs, he just makes better tolerances than Delring. And over time, the Delring, they tend to wear down a little bit. So I'm just wiping off any oil. It looks like I got a little oil in there. Just kind of, I didn't want it to display not nicely. Yeah, and this is actually a micro flipper. You see that? It's kind of a cool little flipper. Titanium scales, beautifully milled, beautifully textured, beautiful full back spacer with a lanyard hole. Definitely deep pocket carry. You're going to be probably about right there for deep pocket carry. Looks like the angle is going to be like about that. Definitely lanyard will be out. It's not super deep. It's not fully hidden, but that may be nice. Beautifully dead nut centered, and you don't have room to miss because you're right there. I mean, you're like a Sugargorf. You're right at the very edge. His tolerances are ridiculously wonderful. So, and the fuller, the thumb hole works beautifully, both thumb by the thumb or reverse flick. And it also works really well left-handed. And this nice big clip to me is really nice because it kind of reminds me of Prince Customs. You always wonder, why do people have big clips? Well, sometimes it's really nice for left-handed reverse. I mean, the other option is hold up high like this. You can flick like that as well. And that works along with the flipper, of course, and the thumb. All that stuff works really, 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 really well. Action is beautiful, it's smooth, it's executed. The tolerances are just out of this world. Open and closing is fantastic. The blade is just spot on. This beautiful stone washed. I mean, it's just gorgeous right here. Man, I think I got oil on there. I don't know what it is, but you know, I can show you. So what we do is sometimes, I do this at least, I don't know if you do this, I have a little extra oil that's been kind of rolling off of this because I need to replace this thing. But I'll just put a little oil on here, and that also kind of treats the blade a little bit, right? Some people will use a certain treatment of the blade. In this case, I've got oil just kind of sticking on there. I'm just going to grab the rest of that. So you see how my finger's a little shiny. I'm just going to put that on there. And if it ever gets dirty from other oil, maybe it dries or something like that, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe you put Loctite on there. I don't know, whatever you did, right? Maybe you got tape on there because you were doing a cut test or something. I don't know. Whatever you're doing, oil really is a good one to remove the tape as well. And it gets that blade back in, I think, beautiful shape. And so if there's ever anything on there that, you know, you might confuse for a snail trail or something like that, the oil is really good about getting all that stuff off. So this is beautiful. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to put this off to the side. All right. Action's gorgeous. All right. So let's talk. We talk about the blade, how it opens and closes, all this good stuff. It's just really phenomenal. So let's talk a little bit about the measurements. Let's weigh this guy. How much does this guy weigh? I need to move that container up there out of the way. All right. So I believe it's about 4.5 ounces. I'm going to guess. I don't know. No, it's 4 ounces. 4 ounces. That shows you good balance in the blade, right? 4 ounces. So that's what we're dealing with right there. And turn off the power. There we go. Now, how big is this knife? What's the length on this guy? Well, I will tell you. I think it's about 8 inches, maybe a little bit above. Let's see. No, it's 7 7/8. All right, sorry about that. I got a phone call and it interrupted, so I don't know exactly where we were. We were at 7 7/8. So I'm going to just kind of start over. The handle area, we're looking at just at 4 inches. If you go to the very tip, if you use a little choke up spot, you got about 4 1/3 of an inch, right? So if you have large hands, big meaty fingers like me, that's equivalent to extra large hands with normal size fingers, double extra large hands with thinner fingers. I mean, you got plenty of room. Really nice. You can go all the way back here. If I wanted to go back here, it's still a great presentation. You look at that. I've got enough room for another finger. I guess if I had 6 fingers, it would be perfect. Anyways, blade length, let's go from the tip to the very back of the scale. It's about 3.5. If you go way down here, it's exactly 3.5. So 3.5 inch blade length. There you go. All right, so let's talk about the blade stock thickness. What are we looking at here? So at the very far back here, we are at 142 thousandths of an inch. As you move forward, we're at 142 perfect tolerances. And then this wedge, so 142 thousandths of an inch, but it is well, it's a perfect flat grind from up here. This is a swedge, which I actually like this. It's a very functional swedge, but very artistically nice swedge. So it comes down to a nice thin edge, and it's really, really sharp. Yeah, being Magnacut, I'm going to guess he's at least 62, 63, because it holds its edge well. I've cut paper. I really haven't used this much. It's one of those knives that's really cool. You put in your pocket when you're at home, you walk around a little bit and you put it away and you don't carry it. I love ducklings and I was very enamored with them and I think they're really phenomenal, but they're just for what, I've got the oil around here again. Sorry guys. But the thing about ducklings is I keep getting different grails, right? And there's certain grails that kind of stick around for me. Skiff made blades. The Brown Knives Mini FSDI in inset liner lock, right? My Sugargorf Stellar, my Holt Blade Works Morpheus. Those are some knives that just really, really draw me to them. The Eutsler is really cool. I like everything about it. I think maybe someday I'll find a perfect build of the Eutsler. I just bought what was out there, and I don't know if this is, you know, the neutralizer is really cool. I've said I would never get rid of it, but then I'm thinking to myself, maybe the right grail comes along, I'd consider it. So I reevaluated recently all my grails. I love all these. This has definitely been in the top 10 for without a question. But I've got a couple of new grails that have kind of reevaluated what's my priority, and they have since bumped some things. And you know, you got to be fair. Which of my grails do I carry regularly? Which ones am I drawn to very regularly? Which ones do I constantly reach for? And I reach for this, yes, but I don't reach for this as much as the other ones. And so because of that, and I don't have unlimited funds, you know, I'll probably put something like this up on the block at some point. And maybe a few other ones, right? But still love the knife, still think it's fantastic. So, all right, so we talked about the blade stock thickness, all set. So what knife category is this in? This is absolutely custom mid-tech. It's well above $600. This is $1,000+ knife, right? I could probably sell this for $1,050, $1,100. I mean, these are very much in demand, and it's beautifully, perfectly in shape. It's got skiffs on there. The action is just outstanding and stellar. Beautiful, beautiful. Everything about it I love. So it's definitely a custom mid-tech, for sure. No question about that. Whether you think it's worth it or not, that's a question for you and what you value, right? I can tell you with all the materials, the work done, the details, the precision, the tolerances, the design, the aesthetic, everything, I believe it's valued fairly. I do. I think it's valued fairly. Matter of fact, sometimes they're valued even higher depending on who's looking for it and the demand at the time, right? If you ever get one that's a lot less, I suspect it's probably a beater, a user. And those typically will drop in price, either significantly or a little bit, depending on how bad it's used, right? If it's something that's used that has one snail trail or two, then usually that's not that bad. Most people don't usually care about that if they're buying the knife to carry. If they're like a grail, like a Safe Queen, that's different, right? Then they want it absolutely perfect. They want something like this that's perfect the way it was when it came in to the way they get it, right? Some are even more freakishly like me putting skiffs in. That just totally freaks them out. I mean, that's fine. You know, if you're that, then you know you need to buy it brand new and never touch it and keep it encased in a sealed vault. And that's fine. Your collection is your collection. You collect how you collect, right? Everything I collect, I carry. And if I don't carry it, it's a catch and release. And some of these I didn't really carry outside of the house, to be honest. This was one of them. I did appear to carry it, but that's because I worked from home. And I would go out to the backyard and do a video, but then I would put it away. And I've noticed some knives are like that for me. And those are knives that, yeah, I feel like there's more out there to explore. I do a channel, right? I don't collect just to collect a bunch of knives. I know some of you guys collect everything. You never sell it. You'd never think of selling it. And that's fine. That's who you are. Because I do content and I don't have unlimited funds and I've got kids in college, going to college, I can't do that. So, you know, in order for me to experience some other things, I sometimes have to move things along. And that's what this is going to be. I say that because it's a beautiful knife. I love it. I hate even talking like that about it, but it's absolutely a collection piece. So the question, purpose, what's the purpose? EDC hard use collection piece, it's absolutely a collection piece. Most people, this would be a Safe Queen. For some, it's a collection piece that they barely or carefully use or carry. For me, I maybe carried it around the house twice, maybe 3 times. I did some shorts and stuff, but I never really carried it, right? So that's, to me, that's a catch and release. But for anybody else, I mean, could it hard use? Absolutely. This could be a hard use knife for sure. It's that quality. It's absolutely a hard use. I have a Magnacut hard use. I mean, it's a $700 knife, and I hard use the heck out of it just because I enjoy it. There's some knives that I just have no problem doing that with, right? And then there's some knives that just, they're not quite that hard use kind of knife for me. That tells me a lot as far as what hard use means for me, right? Is it EDC? Absolutely, this is EDC-able. The clip is fantastic, works beautifully in and out of the pocket. It's got nice retention. It goes in and out just perfectly. It's very comfortable. It doesn't rip or shred the pockets. You would think this would, but I believe, if I'm not mistaken, there is, let me see, Is there a little flat spot underneath there? I can't quite remember. Yep, there's a little flat spot where that clip rests on. So it's not resting on this milling. Sorry about the alarm back there, the motion sensor. I should have turned it off before I started the video, so forgive me. It's not your Ring doorbell or motion sensor, it's mine. So right here, very cool, right? So definitely EDC, whatever. Overall design, what do I think about handles, open and closing, textures, jimping, the clip, the lanyard. Okay, so overall, handles are fantastic. Beautifully, it is contoured, as you can see. It is a contoured scale, right? It is beautifully chamfered, rounded on the corners, very comfortable in hand. Beautiful to work. I love all that. The frame lock, beautiful, very small frame lock, so it's easy to get to. You don't even see the screw because it's all hidden back there, so it almost looks like it's titanium on steel, but it's not. There's a steel bar insert. So very comfortable to disengage, plenty of jimping there to access, to release. It's not super tight, so very comfortable even for big meaty fingers. So I love that. Opening, closing works beautifully. The flipper flips well. This little flipper, just don't go out here and try to push button. You just got to get here, put your finger right there, and it works beautifully, right? The fuller here is great. You can use the nick of your nail down here. You'll hold meat of your finger right here, flips beautifully and works well. Put your finger right in there, it works well. Both left and right-handed, and it's got a nice crisp detent. No tuning needed because, of course, Cody Usler has tuning on this knife. Was absolutely perfect out of the box. So I mean, it's just. I love that. I love that about custom knives. So the texture, I love this. It's beautiful. It's a little aggressive, and I would have liked to have seen a more of satin, stone washed or a little more polished. I know this acid wash, this whatever you call it, atomic wash, different people have different names for it. They call it a stone wash, maybe natural titanium stone. I don't know. It's not as polished as some of the other ones. Like, so if you look at, here's like a Craig Brown knives, right? Brown knives. This is a little more polished, right? And it's a little different. So I would say that's the case for this one here. All right. Textures, the jimping. There's no jimping on here. There's jimping here. So if you're doing a reverse push cut or pull cut, there's some nice jimping and texture back there. I guess if you wanted to hold in there, it'll hold your hand in place. But it does have some texture. It has some unique beauty. It's different. This is different. It's not your traditional boring jimping. This is very cool, and it's very nice. And it's rounded just enough here where it doesn't dig into you, which is nice. I wish Giant Mouse would learn from that. All right, so the clip itself is fantastic. Goes in and out of the pocket beautifully. Lanyard, folks, rejoice. Big, bold, beautiful lanyard. I mean, is it prioritized? I don't know. If you look at the design here, maybe this prioritized it. But the blade, it's actually to the very tip hand to blade ratio. This is not taking more space. The blade goes right to where that lanyard is. So he had room, he had place, and I'm glad he did that because then it gives you a little extra for your grip out here. You're not way down here and dropping it, so I think that's cool. I like it. It's not a lanyard I'd use, but it's a lanyard you can use. But it's an artistic lanyard too that looks nice, so I kind of dig that. Overall feel of the knife. Every Eutsler knife I've ever handled is phenomenal. Their action is buttery smooth, beautiful, crisp, just perfect. I mean, it's like when you deal with any sort of custom mid-tech type of knife. Custom Trevor Burger, Brown Knives, another Eutsler, what are some other ones? Skiff Made Blades, Hog House, Rob Johnson's, Cher Goroff, Holt Blade Works, Arnaud Bernard. There's a whole bunch of manufacturers out there or makers that just make SPK. I can go on and on, but they're all really fantastic. And Eutsler there's no exception. His design and aesthetic is gorgeous. I really like this. I think it's phenomenal. So, yeah, really, really neat knife. I think you would do well if you got one of these. If this aesthetic really jumps out at you, this is something you want to grab, right? Definitely want to grab one of these. They don't show up a lot, so if you see one, keep an eye out for it. Don't be too patient, but make sure it's a good one, right? You want to look for stuff like that. I mean, if it's something like this, this stone washed, you see this is natural, this is how it's supposed to be. But if someone has something that's polished and that has this stuff all over it they don't look natural, right? you know, it's probably been used a little bit more. Hopefully people are going to be honest. Especially, I bought it on BladeBinge, and so BladeBinge is great. That's where I bought it. Definitely recommend considering that. If you don't, BladeBinge is a great place to go get broke and buy stuff. Also to sell stuff. I sell stuff over there too, so I really do recommend that. All right, so overall feeling, opening, closing, everything phenomenal. This is true definition of a custom knife. Action is phenomenal. I love the fact I have multiple deployments. I've got a flipper, I've got the thumb hole, and then you got a little bonus flick right here. Because it's enough of a flat grind, I can middle finger reverse flick. So I got bonus stuff, right? So I like that. I like that. So overall feel is fantastic. What do I think of the fidget factor? So you know my thing is a fidget factor. How much can I? Is this an expensive fidget toy? Yes, it is. And is it a good one? Yes, it is. It's really good. It's really outstanding. Cody Eutsler doesn't skip on anything, right? So I would say I would give this a 6, and only because even the middle finger reverse flick is perfect. Even on a dry day, I don't usually have issues with this. It's just stunning, right? It's stunning. Of course, I'm doing this for the camera, so it doesn't look natural. But anyways, everything is stunning. Even this little flipper, as long as you understand how that flipper works, I have no issues with it whatsoever. Now, if you come in and think it's like a regular flipper and you get up there and you start to try to do all sorts, it's going to be a little uncomfortable until you figure it out. But it's fantastic as long as you understand. Finger here, move down, let the flipper do the work, right? Don't try to get all finger up there and try to push button. This does not work well. It can push button, but it's going to be uncomfortable after a while because it's sharp. But if you do this, it's fantastic. I love it. So I give this a 6 out of 10. Absolutely a solid 6 out of 10. I might even get a 6.5, but I'm going to say 6, solid 6, because the fidgety goodness of that 6 out of 10 is 100%, 100% phenomenal. Enjoyable. If you wanted a fidgety good knife that's just fantastically made, custom and all that stuff, this is it. Highly recommended. My overall final thoughts are recommended, 100%. It is actually going to be one of my favorite knives. It is only not going to be in my collection because I'm getting another grail. And this is one of those grails that other people really, really want, and it'll allow me to get that next grail that I need to get. And that's the only thing. Sometimes you sacrifice, right? Because I always think maybe someday I'll find another Eutsler knife that has the perfect aesthetic that I want, right? Every time I see him release something, he does something with dragon scales. I wouldn't mind a duckling with dragon scales. I've yet to find it and get in and win one of those, but that would be cool. So just telling you, sometimes it allows you. I got this because it was available, and it's a rare find, and so I was excited to get it. And it really has been a great experience with this. I haven't used or abused this knife, but it's been great having it and experiencing it for sure. So highly recommend it. Let me know what your thoughts are. Any of you guys have one of these? Any of you guys have any experiences with this? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Hey, if you found this content fun, interesting, worthwhile, or entertaining, would you please consider hitting the like button down below? And if you've already hit that like button, maybe consider hitting the subscribe button as well. Subscribing and liking my channel really helps me out. It allows me to produce more content, do more things, ultimately do more things for you guys. So thank you to every one of you guys out there who watches the videos, enjoys the content, who comments, who's part of the live stream, which is part of the whole community. I appreciate you. Thank you, sincerely. And if you haven't already, everyone, maybe also consider hitting that notification button down below so you can be notified of future content like this and other videos. And a big shout out to my channel members. I appreciate you. You guys do two amazing things for me. I do this part-time. So one, you're like my workout buddies. You encourage me. I love doing this, but you encourage me to keep loving it. So I appreciate that. And two, because of your generous support, I'm able to check out and do things that I didn't think I'd be able to do much sooner than I thought. For instance, sometimes I'm loaned really cool knives I get to review, but they're expensive to ship. I couldn't afford that. So I appreciate you members. You allow me to do a once a week, weekly giveaway for everybody, and I appreciate that. I usually buy a lot of that stuff, but you allow me to afford it when I don't have all the funds or I need to cover the shipping. So I appreciate that as well. This channel is not quite self-sustaining, but it's getting close. And I appreciate you and all the people who watch and who's part of this. So thank you. So for my channel members, I do two exclusive things. I do a once-a-month members exclusive giveaway. It's better than the budget banger. It's usually a nicer knife, just exclusively for you guys. The other thing I do is I want to make sure all new channel members have a channel sticker. So if you're a brand new channel member, currently active, right? Email me with your name and address. I'd love to mail you a channel sticker and a little thank you note. Now, that applies to anybody who's actively a member, who's never gotten a channel sticker, who's never asked for a channel sticker. Email me your name and address. I'd love to mail you a channel sticker, right? So Thank you. If you haven't already, check me out on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Again, that's on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day and a great week.